Okay, itamak ka natin. Good morning. It is just after 8:30 in the AM on Wednesday, May 2nd, 2018, starting into the last half of the lunar cycle Matsi Kapesaki, the frog moon, which is our 7th and final winter lunar cycle. And thought I would bring the camera around with me today on my adventures. And we're starting the morning here at Tom's acreage, my buddy Tom. And you'll notice, other than the sound of the geese, and seems to be a snipe way up in the air somewhere, and there's a cat at my feet. But other than these guys, it's fairly quiet out here, where you'll recall from last week's videos, every time I stepped out of my vehicle here, there was cock-a-doodle-doo going on from the roosters, right? So this place has become a real mystery, or whatever's happening here. The other week, Tom noticed that there was somebody going in and stealing fish food from his boat shack. So we identified that individual as a raccoon. And shortly after identifying it as a raccoon, a chicken went missing from the hen house, and the carcass showed up by the boathouse. So we figured it's the same raccoon, so I trapped that raccoon and relocated it. And then, not even 24 hours after I'd relocated that raccoon, almost all of the chickens and roosters were killed. 6 of them. There were 3 that were left alive. 1 was barely alive. Tom ended up putting it out of its misery. As of yesterday, there were 2, and I just talked to Dwayne, another of the guys that works at this acreage, and or one of Tom's partners, I should say. And Dwayne said another one went missing yesterday. So there's something serious going on. Tom put out 4 traps to try to deal with it. One kind of more, or 2 of them kind of more weasel-sized traps like this. Although weasel will scoot right out of here. I'm pretty sure. And 2 that are the usual small mammal traps, like raccoon-sized traps, right? And he baited it actually with chunks of the dead chickens and stuff, because the chickens were taken, but not all of them were completely eaten. In fact, I think maybe 2 of them were eaten, something like that. The rest of them were just like pieces left around. So it's hard to say exactly, what's going on there. It's not usual animal behavior for predators to take, except for maybe cats, to take something, kill it, and then just leave it. Cats and bears and stuff like that, right? So I don't know what's going on. I did put up a camera trap here, and so we are gonna take the camera trap with us and back home and check it and see if anything's on there. Yeah, I should add that in addition to the dead chickens, there have been 2 dead magpies, and that is very unusual because magpies are highly observant. The only thing I can think is that the magpies were trusting in a situation where they shouldn't have. One of the going hypotheses is that we're dealing with a family of foxes with their kits that are just learning to hunt, or coyotes with their kits that are just learning to hunt. And magpies are usually, they have a truce with those dogs because they're hunting partners, really. And so they usually follow them around and hang very close to them. They might be hanging too close for little fox or coyote kits who haven't yet learned that the magpies are their allies. I don't know. That's just one going thesis, but or hypothesis. But we'll go home now. We'll check on what's going on the camera and see if we have any clues to who this might be. I'm really curious. I'd freak out if it was a cat. Highly unlikely, but we'll see. Well, it's now late afternoon, and as you saw, I went through the videos, and all there is really is chickens and donkeys and the occasional magpie and some house sparrows. But something's still, you know, bothering things out there. Still took a chicken last night. There's only one chicken left, and the bait from some of the traps has been taken, from the smaller traps in particular. Which could even be ground squirrels taking that bait, but yeah, the mystery still is unresolved at Tom's. I'll be going back out there tomorrow to put the camera in another position. Right now though, I am gonna go climb up in somebody's attic. Apparently this residence had raccoons, one or more raccoons living in the attic. They chased them out in some way, or at least made sure the attic was clear, and then sealed it off. However, they're worried that there might be kits up there, like baby raccoons, and that there could be a pretty significant mess up there. So I'm gonna go climb up there right now, go through and see what the situation is. Yeah, there's trails all the way back.
Yeah, I know, and they go behind that wood there. And our bedroom is on that side, and that's where my wife thought she heard the most of them. But look at all the...
Yeah, there was a...
I didn't see any shit piles from here. But...
No, I'm gonna get all through there and check everything out. I think I see shit right now.
You can?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just over.
Oh, they had to have done it somewhere.
Just over that way. So, yeah, I'll go check it out.
Sometimes there's more than one, maybe. There could be lots of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially during the winter.
Yeah, nice and warm in here.
They'll kind of group den during the winter. But yeah, this is obviously a washroom here. Some out that way too. Yeah, a little bit here and there. Here and there and everywhere. Let's see. Yeah, some droppings back that way too.
Yeah, deep holes there.
Alright, so I'm going to go to the furthest point before I start picking that stuff up. Alright, well that was fun. Got to climb around in a hot attic for about an hour, hauling a whole bag of raccoon shit out of there. It's a good thing there were no pups though, no kits, so no harm, no foul. I just got to go take a deep cleanse bath now and probably wash all my clothes. Yeah, some days I get to go hands-on with the animals. Some days I just get the residue. Anyway, I got something new to talk about, but I'm gonna take my bath and everything first and get to that later. All right, it's evening time now, and I am post scalding soak, post gross raccoon attic detail. And there's one more thing I want to show you for this video, and that is that I am prepared now. As of today, I've loaded up the back of the Jeep with my tools for the season, because the rattlesnakes are going to start moving. I have my tongs, I have my hook, got my t-shirts. By the way, Margie Cropbeard Wolf, the artist who designed last year's t-shirts, is currently working on a design for 2018. So there's going to be a new t-shirt design out this summer. Look forward to that. In the meantime though, if you didn't catch one of last year's, I still got a little inventory from last year's t-shirts. Any case, got my tongs, got my hook, got my t-shirt, got my trusty, rusty, not really rusty, it's plastic, bucket with a screw top snake carrier. Works for all snakes and sizes. However, what we learned last season was that, you know, I installed bucket cam in there. I put a GoPro into the bucket, and we saw that the rattlesnakes, when they're in transportation in the bucket, are highly agitated, very stressed. One rattlesnake even bit herself. No doubt envenomated herself, but you know, she doesn't respond to the venom. All the same, she was bleeding in the bucket as a result. They really don't like the bucket, right? So a buddy, friend from YouTube, sent me this box toward the end of last season. And it's nice and dark inside. It's got burlap inside. You know, I can still look through the vent, see the snake. Lock's closed on the front. I've got PVC opening on the side that I can let snakes in and out of. And I tested it out end of last season. I found that well, I was told by the maker that it's really best used for larger snakes. And one of the first snake calls I tested out on was a larger snake. Larger snake didn't want to go in the PVC open, so I had to drop him in. And it's a little bit shallow. You know, there's some issues with it in the design. I know the creator was working on a version 2, right? And it was going to be lighter, which is one of the biggest issues with it. It's heavy, but the snakes find it more comfortable. So I don't mind, you know, lifting the heavy box down through the coulee with the snakes if I have to for their comfort. However, there's got to be a good in-between, and not only just an in-between, but something way better, right? Something that's going to set a new standard. And that is my mission this month, May. I want to set a new standard in the transportation of venomous reptiles in the field like this. So I have approached a company who makes enclosures, reptile enclosures, custom-made enclosures for some high-end clients like zoos, these kind of organizations. And I've talked about what I'm interested in doing, you know, which is that I want a lightweight, durable transportation unit that I can use with snakes of all sizes, that the spectators on the scene are going to still be able to view and perhaps photograph the snake when I put it into the enclosure, that the snake is going to feel absolutely comfortable in for the duration of the transportation. The stress will be minimal. I'll still be able to mount a camera in there for my monitoring purposes, and it should be built so that I can keep a snake on some occasions for a number of days in the enclosure, because there are situations where we have weather patterns moving through, and I sometimes have to keep a rattlesnake for a couple of days before I can release it safely. So it needs to be able to house a snake. And I'd like to go kind of do something different. I would like to be able to strap the thing to my back so I don't have to carry it by hand out into the deep coulee. So I've talked with this company about this, and this is it's gonna cost me between $2,000 and $3,000 to make this happen, and I'm pretty committed to making this happen, but One of the ways that's gonna occur is with you guys' support. So I have started another GoFundMe account. Last year, I know a lot of you supported me with Sherry's GoFundMe account to get a new Mac laptop so I can continue making my videos because mine crapped out on me. I didn't foresee myself creating another GoFundMe account anytime in the near future, at least, but because we're rolling into this new season and I'd like the snakes to be more comfortable and I'd like to set a new standard, and it's going to cost $2,000 to $3,000. I've set up a GoFundMe, and I hope that those of you who are interested in seeing that and are interested in supporting that new standard, chip me a few bucks. Doesn't have to be much. Anything helps. So yeah, I'm looking to raise $2,000 to $3,000 to custom build a new standard for moving rattlesnakes. That's my big news. So we'll see what goes on tomorrow.